Hey, this is Dr. Kelly-OMD, and we are here with Ask Dr. Kelly-OMD. I am the CEO of KOE Medical Consulting, and what we have here is VivaLife SPF Me. VivaLife means to live your healthiest and wealthiest life, spiritually, physically, financially, mentally, and emotionally. And our goal is to educate, encourage, and inspire 1 million people and their families to live their healthiest and wealthiest life, which we call VivaLife. Tonight, we have a special treat for you, and it is Miss Alicia Walker. She is here, and she's going to talk to us about anxiety. And the takeaways will be told to you. So there might be a quiz at the end about the top 3 things that she wants you to know about anxiety, the resources and tools that we have available for you, and how you can get in touch with us at the end. Go ahead, Alicia, introduce yourself and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for having me here and welcome everyone. My name is Alicia Walker. I'm a licensed professional counselor and I am the founder and creator of Naturally Anxious, which is the online business that helps moms overcome and manage their anxiety. And as you know, tonight we're talking about anxiety, which is very near and dear to my heart, especially after going on my own journey with anxiety. And like I say, it's not a destination, it is a journey. It just evolves as we evolve. So when it comes to anxiety, the number one thing I notice is a lot of times people don't understand what it really is. It's not always just nervousness. However, nervousness is a big part of anxiety. But it's also, it also shows up as like fear, dread, and anticipating things to happen, those type of things. And when it comes to anxiousness, that is more of a feeling that's internal, is what we feel on the inside. And anxiety itself is a body response. So anxiety is not all bad. I must say that, which I think some people may disagree, but anxiety isn't bad. It is meant to help us survive. So when we are filled with anxiety, our bodies go into like a fight, flight, or freeze response, and it's all meant to help us survive. So of course, if a bear came at us, we want anxiety to fill our body so we can get enough adrenaline and enough, leg strength and everything to get out of the way. However, is when it shows up at times when we don't want it, like taking a test or when we have to meet somebody for the first time or be around people. That's the times we don't want too much anxiety. And that's why it's very important to learn how to manage it. So number one is what it is. And for everybody, it starts with awareness. You cannot really deal with something if you're unaware of what it is, how it looks, and how it shows up. So for some people, like I said, it may show up as nervousness. But for other people, it may show up as irritability. And because I focus a lot on moms, when, seeing moms sometimes snapping at their kids for very little things, they're always in a rush, they're always on the go. That is a lot of times anxiety showing up. And they just don't recognize it. And a lot of times people don't recognize it until they're like, something is really wrong. And because of anxiety, the way it is, it works on this part of our a sympathetic nervous system, which is part of the flight and flight response. And the other part of our body is the parasympathetic. And what happens is parasympathetic is responsible for rest and digest, but it does not work when the sympathetic nervous system is working. And when that side is always working, you start having digestive issues, you start having health issues, and the list goes on and on, which leads to other problems. So the first thing is, what is anxiety? The second thing is coping, healthy coping. I hear people all the time say, oh, I just need a drink to kind of calm down. Okay, there's nothing wrong with drinking occasionally, especially if you don't have any issues with addiction. However, if you're always going to drinking, it could possibly cause or lead to some forms of addiction. And you have to think about it. When I look at coping skills, there's two things about it, healthy coping and unhealthy. When it comes to coping, they both help. It's just that one leaves a long-term or sometimes a short-term negative effect. So when you're looking at, am I doing something to cope with the anxiety? And yes, it's helping in the moment, but will it cause a problem later? That is a clue that it's probably unhealthy. Just like isolation. A lot of times people use isolation as a way of coping. And there is a difference between isolation and alone time. They look similar, but they're not the same. So the thing you ask yourself is, am I taking a step back from people because I'm anxious? And is it helping me? Sometimes we need to unplug from people, social media. Some people aren't very healthy for us. And just sometimes as an introvert, look, people drain me. So I do take a long time to recharge, but I also have to check in to make sure it is truly a long time. But if you're staying away from people and the anxiety is getting worse or the depression is getting worse, that is isolation. And that leads me to my third one, which is support systems. The third thing, we have to have support systems to decrease anxiety. And I know some people feel like some people make them more anxious or make them feel worse about themselves. That just may be an indication they're not a good fit for your support system. Some people are just not healthy for us, whether it's mom, dad, brother, sister, people we grew up with that we feel like, well, that's family. But it also could be an indication is time to set some healthy boundaries and firmly stick to them. So those are like the main three things that's very important: what it is and how it shows up for you. 2, what are you doing in a healthy manner to deal with it? And 3, which is who is part of your support system to help you get through it. And part of your support system, they don't have to be completely aware of everything about anxiety, but kind of explaining it to them. Because like I said, a lot of times people think it's just nervousness. No, if you're a person who may get a little snappy, or you're like very fearful of trying new things and very fearful of people, you may want to explain that to people closest to you. And if they really care, they're going to sit there and understand, and they're not going to judge you for it. They're going to help you go through it. And those 3 things are honestly the best way to manage anxiety and overcome it. And of course, if it's getting to the point where it's affecting your daily living, such as I can't get out of bed, or I can't be around people, I can't keep a job, I can't go to the store, it is time to seek some professional help, whether that's getting on some medication through like your primary care doctor or a psychiatrist, which is probably the better route, somebody who has a background in psychiatry, or even sitting down and talking to a counselor, a therapist, to kind of get to the root cause. But those are usually the signs to look for. If it's affecting my everyday living, I need to get some help.
That is so good. You dropped so many jewels there, and thank you so much. We have BM who is saying you have very good pointers, and definitely those are all things. And this is why this is really important to me, because I have anxiety, and I didn't realize I had anxiety probably until I was in college and a little bit of medical school. And when I had to take those big tests, and my heart is like pounding away, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to go into do this. I don't want to do this. And I almost missed having to take a big test because I got so scared. Luckily, I was with a friend of mine who is also a colleague now, and he was like, what you're experiencing right now is anxiety. So I'm going to need you to take some deep breaths, and I'm going to need you to see yourself in the experience and know that you're going to be okay. Got through the test, but definitely went to go see the doctor after that, because I was like, oh, we can't have this happening to us.
Right.
So, thank you. Do you have other instances, other, practical ways of managing anxiety by any chance?
Yes. So one of my favorite is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique. And the reason why I really like it is because you can do it pretty much anywhere, and it involves your 5 senses. So 5 stands for 5 things you can see. And I like to add in the extra thing of calling it out and saying, this is real. And the reason why I add that little part is because the anxiety feeling you're feeling, especially if you're not really under threat, it's not real. It's just perceived threat. So, calling out the 5 things you can see, and then there's 4 things you can feel. Like you could feel the chair under your legs. You can feel, your clothes on you. You could feel maybe your hair in your face. Calling all those things out and saying, and this is real. 3 things you can hear. 2 things you can smell. And a lot of times I tell people, if you're really struggling with anxiety, like I would spray sometimes like perfume here, because if I'm starting to have those feelings of, okay, we might be leading to an anxiety attack, I promise you, if you're very intentional with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique, it will help calm you down and bring you back into the present moment. And the last thing is the one thing you can taste. So I even encourage people carry mints, carry gum. So those type of things are like on your bedside, depending on when you may realize you have a lot of anxiety. Some people it's at night. So if you put something in your end table, like something you could smell, something you could taste, you can feel things around you, you can see things, and then just remember to do those things. And I would also stress this. A lot of times people forget to use the grounding techniques, and I know that. So I tell people, practice it when you're not anxious. Practice it when you're driving. Practice it while you're at work or watching TV, because if you do it often enough, when the anxiety arises, and I promise you, because anxiety is common and it is normal actually, it's going to happen. So, and once you start going through it, you can start saying, okay, five things I can see, 4 things I can feel, 3 things I can hear, 2 things I can smell, and 1 thing I can taste. So you have to start doing it as part of your daily habits, so that when the anxiety arises, you can put these things into place.
I love that. That is so real, because I think I do some of those things and you just don't even know it that you're doing it. But just putting it, in that term, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 makes it so real and something that you can truly use as your resources and tools. Because so many of us are high performing people, and we do utilize many of the things that we talk about in order to be that high performing person. One of the things that I mentioned also in the VivaLife 5 book is about how that we can utilize our skill sets, what we're innately given or born with, or things that we have developed, turn them around so that we can address some of the issues that we're dealing with. And back to what we said, the meditation, the journaling, the exercise, because I think a lot of times we put too much on our plates and then we get frustrated, and that's where we lead to the anxiety, depression, and kind of going down the rabbit hole of negativity sometimes that will keep us from being our best selves. And you're not going to be your best self every single day, and that's okay. Because you have a great support system and people around you who love you, they're going to understand that. And the important thing, like Alicia said, acknowledge it. Acknowledge that today may not be the best day, or I'm not performing at the level that I would like to, but on a regular basis I do. So I'm going to give myself a break, and I'm going to give myself grace. So that being said, Alicia Walker, how do we get in touch with you so that if we wanted to utilize your services, that our guests could do that?
So my website is naturallyanxious.org. And I'm also on Facebook under Naturally Anxious, and Instagram under naturallyanxious_. So.
Awesome. And I am Dr. Kelly-OMD. I am online at drkellyomd.com, Facebook at, Instagram at Dr. Kelly-OMD, and Instagram at VivaLife Health Hub. And we are so grateful that each and every one of you came tonight. We hope that you had a good experience. If you did, please go ahead, like and share as much as possible. We will continue to have these every Monday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to have different people. If you follow us on Instagram or also on Facebook, VivaLife Health Hub, you will see all of the guests that we have here. Our goal is to educate, encourage, and inspire 1 million people to live their healthiest and wealthiest lives. And that's called Viva Life. And have a wonderful evening. And don't forget to do what? Viva Life. All right. Thank you for being a part of the Viva Life experience. I'm Dr. Kelly-OMD, board certified OBGYN and healthcare executive. If you like what you heard, then please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. The reason why is because we are trying to educate, encourage, and inspire 1 million people to live their healthiest and wealthiest life. And this is what we're bringing you. We're bringing you educational videos. We're bringing you podcasts. We are bringing you webinars with subject matter experts, including myself, about the topics that affect you the most. So go ahead, like, subscribe, and share. We are everywhere. Have a wonderful day. Viva Life.